What's going on, my fantasy footballers, and welcome back to another video of For the Love of Fantasy Football, where I, Richie K, your boy, take you through the ins and the outs of fantasy football. Today's video is all about the most recent drafts from this past weekend. And lastly, I'm going to provide you some of my sleeper picks that I believe are going to have breakout seasons or have bounce back years, like Matt Stafford. Before we get into all of that, I just want to say thank you to all of you for getting me to double-digit subscribers, and I am so appreciative of everything you guys have shown me. Keep on liking, commenting, and subscribing to my channel. It is very appreciated. It is not going unnoticed, and I love all of you. So without further ado, let's take a look into my teams that I drafted. The first team that I'm showing you is in a league of 10 people with standard scoring. As you can see, I have Matt Stafford as my starting quarterback, Joe Mixon and Alvin Kamara as my two starting running backs, Chris Godwin and Kenny Galladay as my two starting receivers, Blake Jarwin as my starting tight end, and Chris Carson as my flex position player. In the draft, I did actually select Derrick Henry as my first pick and Emmanuel Sanders later in the rounds. However, one of my opponents traded me Alvin Kamara and Chris Carson, so that's why I have them on my team. For my defensive team, I have the Philadelphia Eagles, and for my kicker, I have Greg the Leg Zuerlein. My bench players are Robert Woods, Cam Akers, Jarvis Landry, AJ Green, Latavius Murray, Zach Moss, and Mecole Hardman. I'm extremely excited how my overall team has come out before week 1, especially with the addition of Alvin Kamara and Chris Carson with that trade I made. I really do believe that this team is a playoff contender, but we'll see when the season starts and playoffs come around. Going to my next team, this was a 12-team half-point PPR league. As you can see, I again have Matthew Stafford as my starting quarterback. I was able to pick up Josh Jacobs and Nick Chubb as my two starting running backs. I picked up DJ Moore and AJ Brown as my two starting receivers. My starting tight end is George Kittle, and my flex position is Michael Gallup. Cowboys are my defense with Rodrigo Blankenship, go Dogs, is my starting kicker. Going into my bench, you can see that I have Deebo Samuel, J.K. Dobbins, Henry Ruggs, Mike Williams, Mecole Hardman, Bryce Love, and Blake Jarwin. Again, I know this team is going to be a playoff contender because of how well I drafted, and because it is a half-point PPR. These players are going to have a lot of receptions throughout the entire season. The team that I'm showing you now is in a league of 10 people with a 1-point PPR. As you can see, my starting quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. My starting running backs are Ezekiel Elliott and Devin Singletary. My starting receivers are Tyreek Hill and DJ Moore. My starting tight end is Noah Fant. My flex position player is OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr. My defense is the Denver Broncos. And my kicker is, again, Greg the Leg Zuerlein. My bench players are Antonio Gibson, Deebo Samuel, J.K. Dobbins, Emmanuel Sanders, Jamison Crowder, Tony Pollard, and Chris Thompson. I'm extremely excited for the way I drafted this team because I know this team is a championship contender. And my last team over the weekend was from a 12-team league with standard scoring settings. As you can see, my starting quarterback is Dak Prescott. My two starting running backs are Joe Mixon and Devin Singletary. My two starting receivers are Amari Cooper and Michael Thomas. My starting tight end is Tyler Higbee, and my flex position starter is Terry McLaurin. My kicker is Rodrigo Blankenship, and my defense is Kansas City. With this league, we also have a defensive player starting, and I was able to pick up Jalen Smith. My bench players are Antonio Gibson, Chris Thompson, Rashad Perriman, Deebo Samuel, Emmanuel Sanders, and Mike Williams. I'm extremely excited about this team because the way I drafted, I set myself up for success early and late in the season. However, I do think I'm going to try to upgrade my tight end position just because I really don't trust Jared Goff this season. And although Tyler Higbee could be a really good tight end this season, I might try to get someone like Zach Ertz, Mark Andrews, or even Travis Kelce and try to trade for them because I know their offenses are top 5 in the league, and those tight ends are going to get a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns. All right, my fantasy footballers, so that was my teams over the weekend. Let me know what you think about them in the comment section down below. Would appreciate if you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and so I can continue providing more videos for the love of fantasy football. Now let's go ahead and get into my sleepers for the season, especially if you haven't drafted yet. Top 5 sleeper players for the season include, and not in any specific order, Matt Stafford, Emmanuel Sanders, Antonio Gibson, Blake Jarwin, and AJ Green. Real quick, let me tell you why I think these players are going to have bounce back seasons. First off, Matt Stafford. He was hurt for about 9 games out of the season last year. So that already means that he's going to have a bounce back season. And before he got injured, he was the leading passer in the league. And I think if he does stay healthy, he's going to have a monster season. Next up, let's talk about Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders was great for the 49ers last year. He obviously went to the Super Bowl with them, and he actually thrived in their offense. He ended up signing with the Saints this past offseason. The Saints offense is much more electric than the 49ers. With the 49ers, he was considered like the #1 option for them, And with the Saints, he's going to be considered the number 2 option, which means defenses aren't really going to be keying on him as much. And so Drew Brees is going to try to target him more often, which means obviously more points for you. Next up, we have Antonio Gibson. He was kind of like a back burner in the running back depth chart for the Redskins until Adrian Peterson got dropped. Antonio Gibson could have a great season. Obviously, he's with the Redskins, so you can't really expect too much out of him, but you can expect 800 to 1,000 yards receiving and around 8 to 10 touchdowns. Next up, Blake Jarwin. I know I'm a homer, I'm a Cowboys fan, but I really do believe Blake Jarwin is set up to have an awesome season. Jason Witten was supposed to be the player coach last year for the Cowboys, but he was probably nagging the coach to get him in and get him more reps. So Blake Jarwin took a backseat to Jason Witten. Now Blake Jarwin is the number 1 tight end in that electric offense of the Cowboys, which is probably top 3 offense in the league. Look for Dak to hit him in the middle of the field a whole lot, and Blake Jarwin to have a really good season and a lot of touchdowns. And lastly, AJ Green. This was basically a no-brainer. AJ Green was hurt all last season, and as a result, this automatically qualifies him for a bounce back season. Joe Burrow, being the starting quarterback in the offense, already gives AJ Green a much bigger boost in production compared to Andy Dalton or whoever the heck else was their quarterback last season. So I really expect Joe Burrow and AJ Green to have that connection early and often in the season, and look for AJ Green to have a 1,200-yard season. I do believe if you get these players on your team, they will get you wins, get you in the playoffs, and hopefully a football fantasy championship. That's it for today's video, my fantasy footballers. If you liked the video, please like the video. Comment what you think of each of my teams down below in the comment section. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so I can keep producing videos like this. I hope you enjoyed the video. And one last thing before I sign off for today's video, I just want to give a huge shout out to my wife, Kayla. She's been extremely supportive of me starting up this YouTube channel. She's been extremely helpful in creating these thumbnail pictures that I have posted, and I wouldn't be able to do this without you, babe. I love you so much, and I'll see you later. Thanks for watching today's video, guys. I appreciate the love and support you have shown me. I hope you guys have a good day, night, evening, whatever time it is you're watching this video. And as always, and probably for the last time before the season starts, may your drafts be prosperous.